a caller by the name of Chloe Bracken. Is that, do you know if that is an attendee or a guest?
It has to be a guest.
What's the name?
Chloe Bracken.
That has to be a guest, Phyllis and Mary, don't you think?
I can't understand what Grace is saying. What's the name?
Chloe Bracken. Can you, sorry, it's our first day back in the office and masks are mandatory, so I apologize if you can't hear me.
Zoe Bracken? Is that
Chloe.
right? Chloe.
Chloe Bracken. And she's attending the African American History Initiative Committee meeting.
Here it is.
Oh, yes, she put a note in that says she's joining today as a guest.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
All right, we'll get started and we'll have to go through our motions. So this is Phyllis Walker Ford. I'm co-chair of the committee along with Mary Lipsey, co-chair. And I'm calling the meeting to order and I'm going to read the motions and we'll get started. To conduct this meeting wholly electronically, the committee needs to make certain findings for the record to evidence our compliance with all applicable laws. These motions address this compliance. First, I'm going to conduct a roll call and ask each member participating in this meeting to state your name and your location. I ask that each of you pay close attention to ensure that you can hear each of your colleagues. All right, Mary Lipsey.
Mary Lipson, Braddock District in Springfield.
Barbara Naif.
Barbara Naif Reston.
Tammy Manarino.
Tammy Manarino, representing Mount Vernon District.
Ann Stuntz. Esther McCullough.
Esther McCullough, Sully District.
Carol Herrick.
Carol Herrick, McLean, Drainsville District.
Barbara Peters.
Barbara Peters, Annandale, Mason District.
Cheryl Rapetti.
Cheryl Rapetti, Centerville, Sully District.
Sue Kovac Schumann.
Sue Kovac Schumann, Mantua, Providence District.
Lynn Gabi Harj. Liz Kroll. Chris Babushak. Subi Mehdi. Denise Driscoll. And David Meyer.
Chris is here.
I was muted a minute ago. Ann Stunts, District.
Okay. Ann Stuntz.
Yeah, Ann looks like you're popping in and out.
Chris is here.
Did I
He's
hear-
called in. I'm clicking the button that is supposed to make him a panelist, but it is not responding to me.
I'll try
Did I
to
hear
take
someone
off
say
video.
Chris was here?
Yes. The WebEx is not allowing me to make him a panelist, although it is giving me the option. I think Denise is in the office, so I think I'll send her a message really quick and maybe she can come help us out.
Okay. So Chris can hear us but can't respond.
That's correct, yeah. Okay, I've just unmuted him, Chris, if you can have the ability to say anything.
You just unmuted him?
Yes.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Hear you.
Oh my gosh, I'm ready to just throw WebEx against the brick wall.
Yes, amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grace. Appreciate it.
Yes, I'm so sorry about this.
It's okay.
Okay. At this point, I will pass the virtual gavel to co-chair Mary Lipsey so that I may make the appropriate motions, and Mary will take the vote. I move that the committee certify for the record that each member's voice may be adequately heard by each other member of this board.
I second the motion. That's Tammy.
Okay, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? Abstentions? It all carries.
Okay. Second, I move that the committee certify that the state of emergency caused by the COVID-19 pandemic makes it unsafe for this committee and the public to physically attend this meeting in person, and the usual procedures cannot be implemented safely or practically. As a result, I further move that the FCRHA conduct this meeting electronically through a dedicated video and audio conferencing line, and that the public may access this meeting by calling 1-844-621-3956 and entering access code 2330-156-3049.
We
I'll
have a
second
motion.
again.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Phyllis made the motion. I
I
second it.
made the motion.
Okay, right. All right,
Thanks, Tammy.
any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? It is unanimous.
Okay. Finally, I move the committee certify that the matters on this agenda today relate to the COVID-19 emergency itself, are necessary for continuity in Fairfax County government, and are statutorily required or necessary to continue operations and the discharge of the committee's lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities.
We have
I
a-
second the motion.
Okay, second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Nays? Abstentions? It's unanimous.
Okay, I'll take the gavel back
You got it?
and we'll get started. Okay, I think there are 3 items that we're going to cover today. Mary and I are going to talk about. The first one is templates, and we've been working with, well, we met with our capstone George Mason University committee that will be working with the team that will be working with us for building a platform for our database. So our first question is to find out from each member of the committee the number of templates that you've collected so far.
I think they want to know approximately how many total that we think we might have.
Right.
Right, okay. All right. So you just want to go down by district? I'll say Braddock District will have approximately about 18. And I am doing some for Springfield, Mason, and Fairfax City, which would add approximately another 18.
So you've got 13 and 18?
No, 18 twice,
Okay.
approximately 36.
Okay. Barbara, how many do you have?
This Barbara or Barbara Peters? This Barbara.
Barbara Nave.
Okay, Barbara Nave. I think if I count 2 within Flores Historic District and make those each separate, then I will have just 3. And that doesn't count Ann's part of the Connor Mill, which is Vienna.
I'm just counting. I'll say roughly 20. This is for an estimate, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Ann Stunt says 20, Barbara Nave has 3.
For 23.
Okay. Tammy, how many do you have?
I have a lot, and it's making me wonder wonder if I'm counting right. So this is all of like the sites, the churches, the books and articles, like all of that. So because I think with including all of those things, I have like 48 listed, and I'm certain that I am forgetting some.
But Tammy, you can combine those, like if you have a community and put them all in one template. That's what I've been doing.
Right.
If
So
it works for you, I don't know.
and I get that, like Gum Springs, 100% I have to do as a community. So, but is it right to include, like, there's two, prominent churches in there? Like, is it really right to include those both in there, or should those be separate?
I think that's your call.
Yeah. So it's hard, and almost every site that we have on the historic inventory for Mount Vernon had enslaved people. I mean, not every site, but many of them had enslaved people living there, and so I guess that's why I have so many. So
yeah.
So I guess it makes sense that I would have a lot. So I would say 48, and I might have more than that.
Tammy,
Yes.
this is Esther. Can you share that list with the churches? Because I was working on some churches too.
Oh, okay. I was going to say the ones.
If an area had more than one church, why would you not include it?
No, we were talking about whether to include them in one large template. Like, for instance, Gum Springs could have, Woodlawn, Bethlehem. It could have the Oddfellows Hall. It could, I mean, it could have so many different things there. But sometimes, like, I just wonder, like, Bethlehem Baptist is such a prominent church. I almost feel like it should have its own, and Woodlawn too. I mean, those are such prominent churches. I feel like they almost warrant a template on their own. And they have written histories, and
there are many churches like that. They're not the only ones. Bethlehem was probably the first Baptist of Vienna is the second. So I'm interested in how you're writing it up, because they warrant some kind of description other than just the name.
Yes, and sometimes they have a written history. Woodlawn has an amazing sort of biography of their church, and they tie into different locations. Like, there's 3 different locations tied to Woodlawn United Methodist. So yeah, I think it deserves its own. I have not written it yet, no, but that's
And when you're writing it, would you be showing a link to the church website?
Yes. So the church website has some of the history, not all of it. The complete Woodlawn history is, well, not the complete. The Woodlawn history, written probably in the 1980s, 1990s, is in the Virginia room. So I would be referencing that, with the description of where that is, and then I would give the 3 different addresses. So I think that's got to be its own template. Yeah.
Yes.
Put me into it.
Well, and the other thing that I've done is link to other templates. So in other words, I have the Guinea Road Cemetery, which is connected to the ILDA community. So I say in my template, the Guinea Road Cemetery, see ILDA. So that's not a website link. That's a template link.
Right. So you don't have to repeat all of the information. Like, I don't have to explain in Woodlawn, Methodist Church, like the outline of Gum Springs. Like, that's going to be elsewhere. So that is good to link these things together. Good idea.
So regarding Vienna, it's a similar kind of wrestle of what to clump together. So when I was doing my 20, it's sort of the outside. In my mind, that was kind of a maximum, but it might end up being a lot less depending how much we merge different places in Vienna.
Okay. Barbara May, if I saw your hand earlier.
I wasn't thinking, it'll go under collections, but this is the African American residents at Reston. So it's kind of a unique situation, but that would make another one.
Yeah, yeah.
So, that would give me 4. Okay,
Thank you.
sorry, thank you.
Yeah, so I think count me as 48.
Okay. Carol Herrick. I think early on, Carol, you said you had 26.
I've got 30 now. 30.
Okay. Okay. Cheryl.
So I haven't made progress on this, but I'm thinking, you would think it's probably going to be in the neighborhood of 15 or so to 20, somewhere in there.
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, given all the different, yeah, I think at least that.
I wanted to say that I sent an email to Cheryl and Esther about something coming up that's original documents that would be for your district, and that's with that Flores School or Flores Historic District, that someone here, a new neighbor, found information after her mother passed last year. So I'm going to get all that. And it might be something that Chris and the library want to do. But once she gives me this bulk of documents and stuff, which she says is original, and she's never seen some of this published before, I'm going to pass it along to you for that area. So some of it definitely is related to this project.
That's good.
Yeah, this is about the teacher who and principal at one of the Flores schools.
Well, yeah, I mean,
she has a school named after her. I think.
Coate.
Coate.
Coate, C-O-A-T-E.
Judy
And
Coate.
that's in Drainsville. Carol has it. That's
Oh.
School in Drainsville.
She's in there. She's under the Flores Colored School, I think.
Right. Carol and I talked about that yesterday. Yes.
And Carol,
So
I
Sue
was
has
going,
contacted some family members that have more information, and records about her.
Carol, I was going to do for the town of Herndon, the Oak Grove community, which includes the school, the church, the cemetery.
Well, I'll send you what I've done.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because I didn't do community, but I've
Okay.
done it.
Well, I've got a lot of articles by Barbara Glackus, and if you have those, then I won't
You're
worry
welcome.
about it.
You're welcome to change. When do we send all this that we've written? Because everybody sounds a little different.
Well, Carol, a couple of meetings ago, I think you said that you would volunteer to review the some of the templates, but the team itself is asking us to send them as we get them, so that they're not getting them all at one time.
Well, then who do we send them to?
We should know by Monday, we hope. We meet with them again on Monday.
Oh, okay. Okay, then I can send mine on Monday. I'm happy to review them, sure.
Okay.
Mary, I'll send you now what I've written for that. It'll be cut.
Carol, did you do Cooktown?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Sue, how many do you have?
It's 19, and yeah, there is some overlap, and like Mary said, referring one template to another, 19.
Okay. Barbara Peters.
I pass.
Okay.
Well, I can tell you for Mason, I'll be doing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10 for Mason.
Okay. And right now I have 4 for the district, and I'll be adding. Okay.
And for Springfield, I have about 7 or 8.
Okay.
And I'm doing 4 for Fairfax City, formerly town of Fairfax.
Okay, so I'll quickly go over the list. Mary, you started off with 36. Barbara Nafe has 4. Ann Stuntz has 20. Tammy has 48. Carol has 30. Cheryl has 15. Sue, 19. Mary, I had another 10 for you.
Yeah, that's by Mason.
You just gave me that, right?
That's Mason, yeah.
Okay. I have 4. Springfield District has 7 and Fairfax City has 4.
Correct.
Okay, so we can give them that idea of what we have. And Mary, do you want to talk a little bit about our meeting that we did have with the team?
Yeah, it was a very good meeting in that each side, we had questions from, I think, every member from the George Mason group. A couple of them are majoring in cybersecurity besides IT. So it was, I thought, a great meeting. They were the ones who asked how many templates would there be. I asked if they could put a supervisory district on, because I don't know about you, but I know some of my neighbors don't know what district they live in. And so I thought if they're going to be using this to any of their advantage, it'd be helpful if they had a map, and they said yes, they could do that. We're working, Subi and Thomas and someone from Central Data, I think it's the name, are working together to work with the capstone students to see how this is going to work. How will it get, on what website, and how it's going to be there and maintained in the future, etc. I asked if, for example, someone were to search the word sideburn, would they get every example like you do on Google that, references sideburn? And they said, yes, that definitely would be part of it. They asked us who was going to maintain it after they stepped out, and we don't have an answer to that. But they said they would create step-by-step directions. And I said, I hope it's database for dummies, because that's the way I would feel in trying to do anything. They asked if there was any budget for this project, and we said no. So they said that's okay. They can use all free resources to create it. They wanted to know if there were any current sites that might be similar to what they are creating. I immediately thought of our History Commission work online. And so they could tell they were tapping away and looking at that. I had been in Maryland and picked up an African American heritage brochure. And so I sent them a copy of that. And that is I told them it's like a AAA guide to the African American sites in Maryland with information, etc. So they were welcoming that, because they just want as many ideas of visually what this is going to look like. One young man asked if there's any other companies that might be in competition with them. And I think that means, are they creating their own unique product that they don't have to worry about anybody taking from them? And Phyllis and I both said, no, we have no idea about that. Is this project targeted to highlight African Americans? We answered yes. Then I asked them about the oral histories. They said they could deal with that. But since then, I've been in a meeting that we think we've got the oral histories that would be collected through the neighbor and community services, and we would not have to worry the capstone project with that. I mean, we always could use it, but the way it's looking at now, it will go on Fairfax County Public Schools YouTube. and that these clubhouses are very familiar in how to do that and get their, oral histories loaded. So that's it, unless somebody has some questions.
Mary,
So what if,
when you said clubhouse,
I'm sorry, go
what is
ahead.
a clubhouse? What is a clubhouse?
Yeah, I had to learn that. They are in every community center in the county, and they operate after school. They have permanent staff. They have a green room. They have their own podcasts. They interviews, etc. And I'm still not quite sure, Phyllis, how much involved young people are with it. But they can edit. They can do all sorts of stuff with it. So that's the goal right now, is to collect oral history interviews from residents, and then be able to link them from either the History Commission website or whatever Capstone produces to these YouTube productions that students could then look at.
And the Capstone team was,
sorry,
the Capstone team was looking at what other things did we think we might in the future want to add, so that what they're designing will fit anything that we might collect, and that included oral histories and other things.
Yeah,
Well,
they
that's,
should,
that
they
kind
should
of,
be aware that the oral histories are videos, because that's, different kind of file.
right. So that's kind of the
Yes.
question I had, is I've been talking to Gunston Hall, and Sally Lyons had tipped me off that they had done some oral histories with some employees of the previous owner of Gunston Hall, and then also I think Shiloh Baptist Church, maybe some oral histories
Right.
there as well. And so I guess those are on videotape there at Gunston Hall. And so those wouldn't be a template on their own. Those would be underneath the Gunston Hall template. And we would just reference that those exist in the archives there. Is that how we would handle that?
But I think you want to list it a way that somebody wants to see them. So are they on a website that they could pull up on a website? So they have to visit,
I think
Gunston
so.
Hall.
Site.
And it's not, and maybe we need to cooperate with them somehow to figure out how to get that, because they really aren't set up for large numbers of researchers to come in. They've been a while without an archivist. They just hired an archivist a couple of weeks ago. And so we wouldn't necessarily want to flood them with, students coming in. So maybe we figure out with them a way to transfer those. I don't know. I don't know whether they would like that or not like it,
Well, I mean, with Pleasant Grove, I've been making a list of things to visit, and I put Pleasant Grove and Laurel Grove Museum and Center. And in some cases, I say call first,
Yeah.
And so you may just check with them and say, if a student wants to come and hear such and such, can you tell us what you'd like us to put in writing? Is that what you were going to, similar, Phyllis, or something else?
That's what I was thinking, but you may talk to the team and see if there's a way to link them on the one site, if we get permission from the people who have them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have these opportunities. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask, which is why I asked the Capstone about this, to see if they were capable of doing it. And they said, as long as they had a file, whatever that means to you, I don't know. But he says, as long as they have a file, they can put it on. I thought, okay.
Well, that's actually directly relevant to what you're talking about with regard to Gunston Hall, because if Gunston Hall literally has, VHS tapes, now there's nothing that they can, the only thing you can do is say, go to Gunston Hall. If Gunston Hall has digitized the tapes and has put on files, then we can link to those files. The other thing is, you guys mentioned, you said that there was no budget. The History Commission certainly has funds. So if there's something that you want to spend money on for this project, I don't see why we shouldn't go to the commission and ask for that.
That's fine by us. And of course, we wouldn't meet till November for the History Commission, but we could tell the young men that it's a possibility we could get some funding and let them know in November.
The site that was built by the grad student, Mary, for your Braddock site,
Yes.
Omeka software, which is something that George Mason created and keeps developing more through their
Right.
Center for History and New Media. It's possible that this kind of information could somehow be on the site there. And I don't know if there's a real cost. It's more of a, it's open free software, but the idea is that users will make a donation at some point to it. So that's a possibility to keep in mind for the History Commission.
Maybe we need to talk to Professor McLaughlin, and I don't want to put the students on, you know, not make them feel responsible to get funding, but maybe he can tell us if we can get funding, how does that work out? Or is it, you know, whatever. So.
No, I think Sue was describing funding for the Center for Digital History at George.
Oh, I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, that Omeka software is used by other places, you know, historians and others.
Yeah, Omeka is actually free. You can download it for free.
Yeah. But I'm saying that the idea is it's free, but that if you use it, you know, you might feel obligated to maybe make a donation to the university, as some of us have. But I don't know a lot about it. I do know that other places here are looking at it. So it really has taken off. It's a good resource. And that's a very different thing from what we're asking as far as building the database, though. That's like another layer of things.
Well, and that's what the team leader was trying to get at, is how much do we want to go beyond
a database
templates
yeah.
and a basic database. Subi also mentioned that she and Thomas were talking to the county person that designs platforms, and that person will have to talk with our team, with the capstone team leader. So that's a whole nother group that's going to be meeting and working out what the design would be. Okay. In going back quickly and looking at the list of names and templates that I collected, Esther, I missed you.
I don't really have anything other than a list of churches. That's why I asked if Tammy mind if I looked at her list.
Okay, so I can send you like the tally that I sort of did for today, like, because that's really what I was doing, is I was estimating, like, you know, I went through the historic sites, our inventory of historic sites. I looked at churches. I looked at, you know, this map that had the schools on there, so I pulled the schools off, and then I just went through the list of books that I know of that talk about African American community. So that's kind of what I came up with, but I'm happy to share my list with you of, you know, of my tally. It's my tally, but I don't have sample templates to share with you yet. I haven't gotten that far.
Okay, well, maybe I can help by looking up links. They're web links.
Oh, to the sites that I have?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say I have, I do have links for some of those sites, not for all, because there's limited knowledge in some of those sites. Like, for instance, the enslaved people who were at Collingwood. Like, I know that from my research and an inventory that I obtained from Heather Bollinger. So that's going to be a very small template there. So, you know, it varies. Mount Vernon will be huge.
Okay.
All of
so,
the research.
So if I can work with you, I'd appreciate that.
Sure.
Okay. So the next step for us is, for Mary and I, is that we would get this number of templates to Akbar, who is the team leader, and just let him know. Mary has already sent him the general resources list, so he can look at how that would be incorporated into the program.
Our deadline for all of this is October 29th, correct?
Yes. Yeah. We're sticking to that date. Okay.
Is that part of what Carol was asking? When are they due?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. We had set the October, end of October, early, have another meeting.
And as soon as we know, if once they've got anything set up that you can start sharing, we'll let you know, so that they're beginning to look to see what things look like.
Do we also share with the team?
Well, I think it'll be set up so that
our committee.
Yeah, I think it'll be set up so the committee
Yes.
can see them.
Okay.
Will it be in a Dropbox or a share file?
We'd have to find out from them.
Yeah.
So we could call it up rather than someone sending it to all of us.
That's our goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I had said that we would not talk about the history conference, so we'll work on that. Are there any other items that anyone wants to bring
When you
forward?
mentioned the history conference, I'm working with Lynn on that, and we're desperate to get contact information as soon as possible and the length of time that's needed for the participants.
Esther, well, Phyllis, Mary and I worked on this yesterday and we have a rough draft, but it's based on what Lynn asked in the email that she sent on Sunday night. And I have not read the one that just came. So we had it all broken down for the afternoon, starting at whatever the time is and running to 3:30. We had it all, but apparently she's changed the whatever's changed. I can't speak to it because I haven't read that email. So we just thought we were quite organized, but I'm not sure now.
Okay, well, will you send what you've got, please? And contact information is
Esther, is it possible that I could talk to you after we finish this
Sure.
meeting?
Yeah.
Sure.
Can I just call
But
you?
Channel 16 is grappling for this information. Thank you.
Esther,
I understand that.
Esther, who are we working with at Channel 16?
We're working with Valerie.
With Valerie?
Val.
Okay, none of us knew.
Valerie Bay.
Well, we're just speaking with her now. We've had one meeting and we have another meeting coming up next week. But she's trying to get things organized because she's getting the videos started on Thursday.
I don't think we'll have a problem meeting that date if you and I can talk offline about some of the items on the afternoon program. Then we can work it out.
Make sure Carol
Esther, I put my cell phone number in the chat for you privately. If you could call me sometime at your convenience, I just had a couple questions.
Okay, thank you, Liz.
I would like to say something back to the inventory, if that's okay.
Sure.
There are in the general resources and research topics, list of cemeteries churches with cemeteries, communities, enclaves, etc. And I've been trying, as I'm doing my districts, to go back and remember those. I'm not saying that you have to include every cemetery there or anything like that, but you might just want to review it and say, oh yeah, I should be mentioning that. And so I have given it, and I just realized this morning, I love Pleasant Grove so much. It's twice on the cemetery list. So please, that's as much as I tried to preview it and edit it, I thought, oh, oops, it's there twice. So anyway, but so it has the churches that have cemeteries, the cemeteries that I know that talks about. We didn't specifically name slave cemeteries because of so many unknown questions about them. I mean, there's some African American cemeteries that there were slaves buried there, but some slave cemeteries, like for Ravensworth, doesn't exist anymore. So anyway, I'm just saying, as you are, doing your templates and all, you might just want to look at those resources and all, and say, oh yeah, I need to address that. Okay.
So Mary, you got First Baptist of Vienna
Yes.
for the cemetery
Yes.
and the Carter family.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm saying that because it's done. I started this middle of May, but in my mind, they are there. Yeah, I think there's 30 some church and cemeteries there. And then you'll find that I also did Galloway Methodist and the Second Baptist Church because they are Galloway Methodist Church buildings in Falls Church, but it's cemeteries in Fairfax County. So it's the same property, but they just divide it right between the church and the cemetery. So you'll see a few things that are kind of overlapping. I've done some templates that the property goes over Braddock and Mason. So for districts, I put Braddock and Mason because Little River Turnpike goes right between them. And I've done Little River Turnpike because slaves were known to be hired to construct Little River Turnpike, and that's several districts. I also did Rolling Road because that's where the slaves rolled the tobacco barrels down to port. So I'm trying to think out of the box and get all sorts of things out there, for anybody who wants to know about African American experiences.
What about Frying Pan Park?
That's Barbara Nate's working on.
Okay, you included the fact that they had services that slaves attended.
Yes, yes, they were members. The
Okay.
African Americans were members, and we have all of that.
Okay.
Mary, I thought there were two Pleasant Groves, and that's what confusion way back when.
No, it's just my boo-boo because it's got the same address.
Oh, okay. Well, there's something with the same name in two different places.
There's
One
Pleasant Valley. There's
Oh,
Pleasant
okay.
Valley and there's Pleasant Grove. There's
Okay.
also two Mount Pleasants. Mount
Okay.
Pleasant, yeah, Mount Pleasant without an abbreviations on Laconia, Mount Pleasant with an abbreviations on Coppermine.
Shiloh.
Pardon me?
Shiloh.
Oh, there's two Shilohs, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Once we get them all in, we'll have a chance to review and
Right.
make sure that we're covering everything. Chris, do you have anything? Because you're always finding new things for us to add in. And I saw that in your research for Wall Grove and Huntley.
I haven't created any templates. When we first met, I started creating an inventory of documents and photographs, which probably stopped because of other projects that we've been slammed with. But I will pick it up hopefully later this fall and definitely send it your way once that's done. Actually, I don't think it'll ever be done because it'll just be a living document because just from research requests, I find things that I didn't even know we had. They're like, oh, this is something we should add to that list. So it is a work in progress.
Yeah. And I think for all of us, it'll be a work in progress because we're always finding
That's
something.
exciting.
Well, and I'll share with you that in 1991, the quilt project video was done. I believe the quilt's in the government center.
It is.
Yes, well, I sent a link to Barbara Nath about it because I was amazed of all they covered Willard and Audrix and Vienna, etc., and with the quilt, patches behind them. But at the very end, the narrator said, this is 1991, she says, in the future, the near future, all American history books will include African American history. Well, that was 30 years ago. Yeah.
Yes.
But it's a very, very well done video. I was so impressed with it.
The quilt is still hanging there.
Yeah.
Was that
My
Sheila
husband and I got
Coates
to
that
see
made
it last
that
week.
comment? Was that Sheila Coates?
They didn't introduce her at the beginning, and then at the narration, I wasn't sure, so I'm not sure. I missed it. Whatever, if it's identified, I missed who identified.
Okay.
It was Black United Women in Action.
Yes.
Who made it in 1991.
Sheila's president.
Mm-hmm.
Was she? Okay.
So she'll get
She
to
still
see
is.
that we're working on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and if you all haven't read Chris's Desegregation of Public Libraries, it's phenomenal. Just
Really?
phenomenal.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's nothing else,
Thank you, everybody.
then we're gonna
next
adjourn.
meeting day.
Thank you.
And thank you to, this is off topic, but thanks to Sue Kovacs Truman, who is a rock star for the Task Force on Confederate Names.
Awesome. Very
With
good.
our guest, Chloe.
Is the meeting
Watkins.
adjourned?
Well,
Not yet.
next meeting date, I'm looking at the calendar, November 9th. That's the second
Yes.
Tuesday.
Okay.
November 9th.
November 9th at 2:30.
Am I the only one that had problems getting in?
No.
No, I had problems today too.
Okay, well, this is the fourth time for me for meetings. It's getting a little old. Grace, is there anything?
It's WebEx. It's a terrible platform.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I apologize today if there were any extra issues. It's my first day back in the office, so I'm a little disoriented with my setup and everything. So I think we can contribute a little bit on my part, but yeah, I think WebEx is really
I don't want
difficult to
you.
work with sometimes.
I don't want you to take credit for WebEx. It was a problem when Denise was here too, but
it's a
it seems to
technical
be
problem.
getting worse.
Our
Yeah.
guest just asked, could we consider Zoom? And so somebody has to respond that the county does not allow Zoom. We have to use WebEx. That is what the county, that's the official county.
I was just about to type that out in the chat. Barbara. Yes.
All of us were about to. Yes,
It's
it
not
is.
an option. It's
Wait,
not-
wait,
We're stuck
1
with
minute. Carol speaking. I hear what
Okay.
you're saying, but the McLean Community Center, a county organization, has been using Zoom. And I have mentioned it to them. They should be using WebEx, and they said, no, we can use Zoom. So I just throw that in there.
Well, for that matter, I've been to some public it's Suzanne, I've been to some public hearings that the county has run that have been on Zoom. So it's very mysterious.
I
I
understand.
think it's whether
No,
they
we would
have
need-
the ability for people from the public to get in.
Right, I think that's it. Mhm.
Well, Zoom allows that. If you look at Fairfax County, Fairfax City Council, and all their planning stuff, and the town of Vienna, Zoom is an easier. There's something more to the story with respect to licenses and things that may be beyond our ability to understand.
But Zoom handles many people, thousands, because
Yep.
I'm in an organization where there are thousands on at the same time. So,
And given how much trouble I've had for the last 5 months,
yeah,
I would absolutely love this to be on any other platform.
right.
Well, and I've been on several with county with Microsoft Teams.
Oh, I have two. We have two. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Grace, understand we are not asking you to take on the full county. We're just kibitzing and complaining. Okay.
I got you.
It's
I got you.
reality.
Please do not take this personally. All right.
Yeah.
Right.
Saying that, Barbara, good. Yeah, it's not up to, anything has some problems. I
No,
will say that on Zoom, that is what
we're
George
just
Mason has.
releasing our frustration. That's it.
So when we find out who our permanent liaison is, we can bring this up. But thank you for listening, Grace.
And I think every time WebEx updates, it throws us into another pattern and something changes.
Yes.
See, I didn't know it had updated. I got this symbol that I didn't recognize. I clicked on it. And then when I finally got in, it tells me that another program is using my audio, so I couldn't speak at first. So it was
I
on
think
there
it was the
twice.
upgrade that threw me off.
Yeah.
Well, two of them were open at the same time.
It's my son who absolutely refuses to use WebEx for his company comes to my computer through Zoom when he's in Alexandria and does these crazy updates for me on WebEx, and that's how I get in after that period of time when I couldn't. So it's jerry rigged. It's crazy.
Well, I've been waiting for my son to work on a jury rig for me too. But he lives in Denver, so I'm sort of at a loss.
Long distance.
So but WebEx works for me when I'm not using it with Fairfax County.
Yeah.
So what it says to me is that there's some kind of a security control in the way the county's upgrades are playing out, because my son will test WebEx from his office to me and I'm fine.
So there's a glitch somewhere.
Well,
yeah, and I don't know enough about computers to figure it out.
So we should probably end this meeting so Grace can go on to do other things.
Yeah.
To the next thing.
Turn off the
Sorry, I
recording.
have another meeting at 3:30.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Bye.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Caroline, we'll call you. Bye.
Bye.
Phil.